The art of breaking started on the streets of the Bronx in the early 70s and helped shape the culture of hip-hop as we know it.
It all started with the DJ. The DJs brought the parties. The parties gave people an escape. Once you had a DJ and B-boys in the same room, that's the formula that created hip-hop.
Today, we take you back to where it all began, to trace the origins of this mesmerizing art form and how it's become the global sensation it is today.
What's up, everybody? My name is Emmanuel, here in New York, chilling on the Brooklyn Bridge. Check out the view. I'm here to explore the origins of breaking and how it's become a global art form it is today.
And my guide to the scene is the one and only Alien Ness, the president of the mighty Zulu Kings, who are credited for starting the breaking culture.
So let's get this block party started, yeah!
When you meet someone like Alien Ness, he doesn't come to you, you go to him. So that means I'm headed for the projects in the Bronx. This is a guy that was given his B-boy name by Grandmaster Flash and Africa Bambaataa. He's more than qualified when it comes to breaking. Alien Ness has been there from the very start. Mr. Ness has performed with global superstars like the Black Eyed Peas, Run DMC, and Salt and Pepper.
What's up, Ness?
What's going on, my brother?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Bronx.
Thanks, man. Just tell us a bit about this place.
Well, we are now in Pole Park. Pole Park has a rich history when it comes to hip-hop and dance. So many jams have been held here. Rappers and DJs used to set up right up here in this bandstand.
Yes.
You know, if you was in the hip-hop scene, if you was a B-boy, a popper, or a boogie boy, as we called them back in the days, you had to come to Pole Park, test your skills. I mean, all the biggest names have been through here.
Did you say this is your stomping ground?
Yeah, I actually grew up on Fordham Road, just 2 blocks from here. And this was the place to be when I was coming up. Every major dancer used to come here. A lot of hip-hop jams was thrown here, famous battles.
What was New York like in the 80s?
Oh, the 80s was crazy, especially when I was coming in. Every neighborhood, every building had a B-boy, at least one B-boy in it. And it was real territorial.
Yeah.
Back then, as soon as somebody got on the block, you could tell it was a B-boy. So the tension would already climb. People was waiting for a battle automatically. Nowadays, everybody looks the same.
Yeah.
Back then, as soon as the B-boy walked into the park or the party, you knew he was a B-boy.
Yeah.
And you could tell by the way they moved if they came to battle or if they came to chill. It's really the battles that have really made this such a worldwide thing. It's incredible for me to witness it back then, you know what I mean, where it was just here, you know, and to see it on a global scale, like these huge competitions, like the BC1, for instance, where guys could really go out there and really prove their worth and be champions in their own right.
Alien Ness started taking his craft more seriously in 1983, battling as much as he could from hood to hood.
I originally started as a party dancer. Back in my days, they had a lot of house parties, a lot of jams. Every record that came out brought a new dance with it. So it was just cool back in the days to be able to do all these different dances. As time progressed, I started doing my own thing, and I seasoned myself here in Pole Park. After a while, I started moving out, battling as much as I could, because in my days, you had to battle.
So Zulu Kings, how did that start?
Zulu Kings started in 1973. They were the first established B-boy crew ever. Because before that, you didn't have B-boy crews. You had a lot of street gangs. Maybe this gang might have 1 dance or 2 dances, or maybe a lot of these guys in this gang could dance, but there was never really a B-boy crew. Zulu Kings have given birth to some of the best B-boys on the planet. These are people who created moves, head spins, chair freezes, the original footwork shuffle. In Zulu Kings, we have a saying, we battle for meat. If we don't win, we don't eat, you know? So every time we go into a battle, we come for war. You know, we come to win. If we don't win, don't even bother coming home.
St. James Park is another important historical part of the breaking scene here in the Bronx. It wasn't as famous as Poe Park, but a lot of influential people came out of this area.
Used to come and practice here, hang out here. Far back as the 70s, you had the 7 Deadly Sins. Into the 80s, you had Floor Masters, New York City Breakers, Incredible Breakers. They're all from this area here.
So can you tell us the foundations of hip-hop?
The foundations of hip-hop was always first about the music, about the DJ. You know what I mean? It all started with the DJ. The DJs bought the parties. The parties gave people an escape from the madness of the Bronx. If it was a good DJ, it would attract B-boys.
Yeah.
And once you had a DJ and B-boys in the same room, that's the formula that created hip-hop.
Even though the mighty Zulu Kings were founded in 1973, many different people have represented the crew since then. Each generation has brought with it a new wave of members, titles, and means of representation. The mighty Zulu Kings is now in its 4th generation of leadership, who have helped to popularize and shape the group's image.
Original 13 are the first 13 brothers that walked into that freestyle session in 2007 wearing Zulu King patches.
Yeah.
It was the first time the world has ever seen the Zulu King patch that deep. So many of us, and it was 13 of us. And that's basically who we call the original 13. People like myself, Paul One, K-Mel, Casper, you know, Taekwon, Oma, Smurf, Vix, Phantom, Jules, Hurry C. These brothers are the original 13.
Is it hard to get a patch?
Yeah, it could take you up to 3 years to get into Zulu Kings, and it could take you maybe another 3 years to earn the patch.
Here in the Bronx River Projects is the birthplace of Africa Bambaataa, the man who created the Zulu Nation and the Zulu Kings. This is home to where it all began.
In 1973, there was a huge meeting with all the gangs that happened not too far from here at the Boys Club. And the meeting was meant to try to stop the madness, the killing amongst all the gangs. Bambaataa was inspired by that.
Yeah.
And he brought that back to Bronx, that ideology back to Bronx River. Now in Bronx River, at one time, there was probably a different gang in every single building. If you see there's 9 buildings, there was a different gang in every building. So what Bam did in this very building here on the 3rd floor, he started something called the Bronx River Organization. And after a while, word in the neighborhood started getting out, you know, about all these gangs in Bronx River getting together, uniting. And he named it the Zulu Nation.
Yeah.
And coincidentally, the 5 brothers that helped him start all that were all B-boys.
Yeah.
And they wanted a name to kind of like stand out aside from Zulu Nation, and Bam came up with Zulu Kings.
Yeah.
Here we are, 40 years later.
Being in a crew, like a brotherhood kind of thing, how do you get into like the Zulu Kings?
I like to say Zulu Kings don't recruit,
Yeah.
we recognize. You know, you're either one of us or you're not. Sometimes it's an instant thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, okay, we like this guy, let's give him time. It could take years. Rugrat's been my student since 2001.
Yeah.
He didn't get in Zulu Kings till 2011. It could take a long process. You know, we just not your average B-boy crew.
Knowing the origins of hip-hop and breaking is about more than memorizing facts and dates. The best way for anyone getting into the breaking world is to make sure you have a solid understanding and appreciation of where and how it all began.
Learn as much history as you can. A lot of people deny or don't focus on the history of the dance. But when you start learning the history, you start to understand where it's really comes from. You start getting a different sense of pride in what you do. You understand? When you know everything that the dance has been through, all its legends, you know what I mean? You get a different sense of pride, a different sense of worth.
Yeah.
I always suggest that everybody start at the beginning, digging in crates, get as much info as you can.
Although the culture of hip-hop is now a global sensation, it's thanks to pioneers and legends like Alien Ness and the mighty Zulu Kings that the heart of hip-hop still beats as strongly in the Bronx as it did when it began all those decades ago.